Good evening, everyone. I want to start with a hard truth. Evil doesn't always come with a villainous laugh or a dark cloak. It doesn't announce itself. In fact, it often looks like the friend who's always there, the partner who cares a little too much, or the colleague who never lets you shine. It's subtle, strategic, and dangerously charming, if only life were as simple as the movies. If only the truly dangerous people wore black cloaks, carried pitchforks, or had some unmistakable mark that screamed, "Stay away." But the reality is, evil isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with a thunderous voice or a chilling glare. More often than not, it blends in. It's quiet, calculated, and incredibly charming when it needs to be. The most dangerous people in the world don't introduce themselves as villains. They introduce themselves as helpers, as friends, as lovers, as leaders. They walk into your life offering kindness, support, or understanding. They mirror your hopes, your fears, your insecurities. They learn what makes you feel safe, and then slowly they twist it. Evil doesn't enter the room with a flashing neon sign that says, "I'm here to break you." It enters with a smile, a shared joke, an inside secret. It wears the mask of a mentor, a soulmate, a protector. It blends so seamlessly into the crowd that by the time you see it for what it is, you've already handed over your trust. That's why we get blindsided. That's why we hesitate to call it what it is. We think, but they were so nice at first, we tell ourselves. They've done so much for me, maybe I'm overreacting, because evil doesn't announce itself. It lets you believe it's good until the moment you realize you're trapped. This is why awareness is our greatest defense. Not paranoia, not fear, but awareness. When we understand that darkness doesn't come labeled, we stop assuming that someone's charm, status, or kindness means they're safe. We stop ignoring the quiet discomfort in our gut. We stop excusing the little things that feel off but seem too small to name. Because here's the truth, evil doesn't wear a name tag. It doesn't introduce itself. It waits for you to let your guard down. And by the time you realize what it has already convinced you that leaving isn't an option. But here's the good news. When you learn to recognize it, when you refuse to dismiss the warning signs, when you stop second-guessing your instincts, you take back your power. And no matter how deceptive evil is, it cannot survive where truth, self-trust, and awareness exist. We live in a world where words are powerful. They inspire revolutions, mend broken hearts, and bring people together. But words are also cheap. Anyone can say the right things. Anyone can promise love, loyalty, or change. But what truly defines a person isn't what they say, it's what they do. Evil understands this better than most. People with dark intentions are often some of the most eloquent, persuasive individuals you will ever meet. They have a way with words that makes you feel safe, seen, and understood. They promise they'll never hurt you again. They swear they have your best interests at heart. They tell you everything you want to hear, but if you pay attention, their actions tell a different story. They say they respect you, but they dismiss your boundaries. They say they love you, but they hurt you over and over again. They say they value honesty, but they lie when it serves them. They say they've changed, but the pattern never stops. And here's the hardest part. We want to believe people mean what they say. We want to believe that this time they really will be different. That this time the apology is real. That this time the promises will stick. But if someone's actions keep betraying their words, it's not an accident. It's a pattern, and patterns reveal truth far better than words ever could. Evil doesn't always show up as outright cruelty. Sometimes it's the soft-spoken liar who convinces you that your pain is in your head. It's the charming friend who betrays you but always has an excuse. It's the lover who apologizes with tears in their eyes only to repeat the same betrayal a week later. At some point, we have to stop listening to what people say and start watching what they do. because actions never lie. If someone's behavior contradicts their words, trust the behavior. If their love comes with conditions, if their apologies come without real change, if their kindness only lasts until you say no, believe that. Because real love doesn't require you to excuse bad behavior. Real integrity doesn't need to be defended with flowery words. And real change doesn't need to be announced. It proves itself through consistent action. So the next time someone tells you what kind of person they are, don't just listen, watch, observe. And if the actions don't align, don't wait for them to match the words. Believe what you see, not what you hear. Empathy is the foundation of what makes us human. It's the ability to feel for others, to understand their pain, and to care about how our actions affect them. It's what stops us from hurting those we love. It's what compels us to offer kindness even when we don't have to. It's what makes relationships real, healthy relationships possible. Now imagine someone who lacks that entirely. Someone who doesn't feel remorse when they hurt you, someone who watches you struggle and doesn't flinch, someone who can lie, manipulate, and destroy without a second thought because deep down they just don't care. That's what makes a lack of empathy so dangerous. Evil isn't always loud and violent. It doesn't always show up as outright cruelty. Sometimes it's the quiet absence of guilt. It's the way someone can watch you cry and feel nothing. It's the way they can hurt you over and over again, yet sleep peacefully at night. They don't regret what they do. They only regret getting caught. How to spot someone without empathy. A person lacking empathy doesn't just make mistakes. We all mess up. We all say the wrong thing. We all have moments of selfishness. But when someone is truly lacking empathy, there's a pattern. They never take responsibility. If they hurt you, it's always your fault. You were too sensitive, you misunderstood, you provoked them. No matter what happens, they will never truly own their actions. They enjoy seeing others struggle. It may be subtle. A smirk when someone fails, a casual dismissal of someone's pain, a twisted pleasure in watching someone suffer. They don't just lack concern for others, sometimes they actively enjoy their discomfort. They are incapable of true connection. They might charm, they might impress, they might even pretend to care, but their relationships are transactional. They only give when they expect something in return. Real emotional depth, they don't have it. They repeat the same harmful behaviors. Most people, when they realize they've hurt someone, feel guilty. They change. But someone without empathy doesn't stop hurting others because they never felt bad in the first place. Why we struggle to see it. Here's the tricky part. People without empathy are often really good at pretending they have it. They mimic emotions. They know what to say when you're upset. They offer just enough comfort to keep you from walking away. They are masters of manipulation, and because we want to believe people are good, we give them the benefit of the doubt. We make excuses. Maybe they just had a tough childhood. Maybe they don't know how to express emotions. Maybe if I love them enough, they'll change. But the truth is, you cannot teach someone to feel. You cannot force someone to care, and you cannot fix what was never broken. Because for them, this isn't a mistake, it's just who they are, protecting yourself. If someone in your life repeatedly shows you that they lack empathy, believe them. Stop waiting for them to change. Stop thinking that if you explain your pain enough, they'll finally understand. They won't. Because empathy isn't something you can explain into existence. It's either there or it's not. And here's the most important part. You deserve to be surrounded by people who do care. People who don't just pretend to understand, but actually do. People who feel deeply, who apologize sincerely, and who love without needing to control. So if you recognize a lack of empathy in someone close to you, don't ignore it, don't justify it, and most importantly, don't stay in the hope that one day they'll wake up and be different. Because the truth is, someone without empathy won't ever feel guilty for hurting you. But you deserve a life where you don't have to wonder if the people around you actually care. Real relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, are built on mutual respect, trust, and freedom. True connection allows for differences, embraces vulnerability, and makes space for each person to be themselves. But when someone is more interested in control than connection, the relationship isn't about love or respect, it's about power. And that is where danger begins. At first, control doesn't always look like control. It might look like concern, it might sound like love, it might feel like protection. But make no mistake, when someone is obsessed with keeping you under their influence, it's not because they care too much. It's because they see you as something to own, not as someone to cherish. The early signs of control disguised as love, controlling people, don't start with threats or rage. If they did, most of us would walk away immediately. Instead, control creeps in slowly, disguised as devotion. It might look like, I just want to protect you. At first, it feels sweet. They don't want you to go out alone. They don't like when you spend time with certain people, and they're always checking in. But soon, their protection starts to feel like a cage. I know what's best for you. They undermine your confidence, making you believe that without their guidance, you'll make the wrong choices. They dictate what you wear, how you spend your time, even what you think. Why do you need anyone else when you have me? Isolation is a classic tool of control. They make you feel guilty for spending time with friends or family. They create tension between you and others so that over time you feel like they're the only person you can rely on. At first, it may seem like they just love you deeply, but love and control cannot coexist. Real love says, I trust you to be yourself. Control says, you can't exist without me. Control is about power, not partnership. When a person values control over connection, they don't see you as an equal, they see you as something to manage. This goes beyond relationships. It can happen with bosses, parents, and even friends. It's in the coworker who always has to dominate discussions, the friend who gets angry when you make plans without them, the family member who guilt trips you into doing what they want. Controlling people are not interested in partnership, they are interested in obedience. And if you start to push back, that's when the mask comes off. They might use guilt to manipulate you. Suddenly you're the bad guy for wanting space. They make you feel selfish for having needs that don't revolve around them. Punish you emotionally, silent treatment, passive-aggressive comments, or sudden outbursts, all designed to make you afraid of upsetting them. Shift blame onto you. If they hurt you, it's because you provoked them. If they violate your boundaries, it's because you didn't explain them well enough. They take no responsibility, only control. Why we stay trapped. The most dangerous thing about control is that it's addictive, not for the controller, but for the controlled. When someone dictates every aspect of your life, you start to doubt your ability to function without them. You forget how to make decisions on your own. You shrink yourself to avoid their anger. You tell yourself, maybe they're right, maybe I do need them. And that's exactly what they want. But here's the truth. Control is not love. Control is not protection. Control is not care. Control is control. And if someone truly loves you, they won't demand your submission. They will respect your freedom. Breaking free, escaping a controlling person isn't always easy, especially if they've made you feel dependent on them. But you have to ask yourself, do I feel safe expressing my own opinions? Do I feel like I can make decisions without fear of punishment? Do I feel respected or do I feel managed? If you constantly feel trapped, afraid, or exhausted, it's time to see the situation for what it is. Controlling people do not get better. They do not suddenly wake up and start respecting your boundaries. The only way to regain your power is to take it back yourself, because real love, real friendship, real connection It isn't about control, it's about choice. And you deserve to be with people who let you be you. Long before your mind catches up, before you find the words to explain it, before the red flags become impossible to ignore, your gut knows. It senses the shift in energy when someone walks into the room. It tenses when a conversation feels off, even if everything sounds normal. It whispers warnings before you have proof, before you have logic, before you can even explain why you feel uneasy. And yet, how often do we ignore it? How many times have we felt that pang of discomfort and dismissed it as paranoia? How often have we told ourselves, maybe I'm just overthinking, maybe I'm being too sensitive, maybe I'm wrong? But the truth is that feeling, that tightness in your chest, that inexplicable discomfort, that subtle yet persistent, something's not right, isn't just fear. It isn't just insecurity. It's your body, your intuition, your survival instincts sending you a message. And if you learn to listen to it, you will save yourself from heartbreak, betrayal, and danger more times than you can count. Why? Your gut knows before your mind does. Your intuition isn't magic, it's biology. Your brain is constantly processing thousands of tiny details, tone of voice, facial expressions, micro movements, inconsistencies between words and actions. Often these signals are too subtle for your conscious mind to register, but your body feels them. When you meet someone and feel instantly uneasy, that isn't a rational fear, it's your subconscious picking up on something that doesn't align. Maybe it's the way their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes. Maybe it's the way they say all the right words, but something in their voice feels hollow. Maybe it's their energy, something unspoken but undeniable. The problem is we've been taught to silence our intuition. Society values logic, reason, and hard evidence. We are encouraged to give people the benefit of the doubt, to find explanations for bad behavior, to assume the best even when everything inside us is screaming, something's wrong. But here's what we forget. Our gut is often right long before we have proof. The times you wished you listened, think back to a time when you ignored your gut. Maybe it was a relationship, a friendship, a business decision. Maybe you met someone and immediately felt uncomfortable, but you convinced yourself to give them a chance. Maybe you felt a wave of hesitation before saying yes to something, but you told yourself you were being too cautious. And then months or even years later, everything fell apart. And you look back, remembering that first moment when your body told you no. We all have those moments, the ones where we think, I should have trusted myself. How we talk ourselves out of it. When we feel uneasy, our first instinct isn't always to run, it's to rationalize. They're probably just having a bad day. Maybe I'm just being judgmental. I don't have a real reason to feel this way, so it must not be valid. But here's what we forget. Your gut doesn't need proof to be valid. Your instincts aren't waiting for a logical explanation. They are reacting to a lifetime of experience, to thousands of unspoken signals, to things your conscious mind hasn't even caught up to yet. So instead of dismissing that feeling, start paying attention to it. How to trust your gut again. Notice the physical signs. Your body often speaks before your mind does. Does your stomach tighten? Do you feel drained around someone, even if they haven't done anything obvious? Do you feel a wave of relief when you walk away from them? That's your gut talking. Separate fear from intuition. Fear is loud. It's based on past trauma, worst case scenarios, and what ifs. Intuition is quieter. It's not dramatic or anxious. It's a deep, steady knowing. Practice listening in small ways before guessing yourself. Pause. If a situation feels wrong, take a step back instead of forcing yourself to push through it. If a person feels off, observe their actions instead of dismissing your discomfort. Look at past patterns. If you've ignored your gut before and regretted it, use that as proof. Your intuition has been right before, it will be right again. Give yourself permission to walk away. You do not need a reason to remove yourself from a situation that feels wrong. You do not need to justify protecting your peace. If something in you says leave, listen,